And that'll get longer and longer over time as you're writing. But if you don't start writing in the first place, the book will never happen, because I've heard people always tell me, I'd love to write this book. Well, start. The second you start writing, you're a writer. People go, well, when do I call myself that? When you're writing. So make sure, because, don't say, well, I'm kind of writing, right? No, you are a writer when you start writing.
Welcome to Inspired Choice today. I'm your host, Caroline Biesalski, here to bring you authentic stories, surprising lessons, and powerful takeaways to fuel your journey in business and life. In each episode, I'll take you from one inspiring guest to the next, blending their experiences with my expertise to uncover practical strategies you can use right away. Whether you're starting out or stepping up, stay tuned for insights and actionable tips that make a difference. And stick around until the end for a special freebie just for our listeners. Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline and my today's guest is K.A. Oliver, and I'm so happy that she said yes to our interview. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so glad you asked me to come on your show. I'm very honored. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And let's inspire the world. Of course, I would love to introduce you to the audience. So you are an award-winning author and Television Academy member, known for your captivating stories with unexpected twists. With over 20 literary awards, including Distinguished Woman of the Year 2023, and more than 3 decades of experience in Hollywood, working on Emmy and Oscar-winning productions, you offer valuable writing tips and expertise on podcasts. You hold degrees in radio, TV, film, and an MBA, blending your passion for storytelling with industry experience. Yes, and I love that so much. You mentioned your website. It is kaoliver.com. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast.
Thank you.
And of course, I have a first question for you. Just a second. It is, how has your extensive experience in Hollywood shaped your approach to storytelling as an author?
It has. I was fortunate to work with some very fantastic people, Spielberg included in that. And if you analyze their stories and their storytelling techniques, you learn a lot. And of course, Hollywood is stories on film or, television. And Spielberg in particular is an easy one to point out, because he likes to take a laugh and turn it into a scream, or a scream into a laugh. So not a lot of foreshadowing. So I think I've learned, I like that. I don't like foreshadowing, because then I can tell you what's going to happen in the story before it happens. That's no fun for me. So I do the same thing in my books. You could be all of a sudden going along and reading something, and bam, it changes on you in my books. And people tell me they really enjoy that, because they don't see that coming.
Yes, we talk about twists in your stories, and the name of my podcast is also Stories of Change and Success. By the way, I love changes, and it is an art of storytelling, of course. And you mentioned Steven Spielberg, as a famous producer, one can say. What else? Producer, and you are the writer as well. Did you write screenplays as well?
Yes. And the reason I took the leap and got inspired to write novels is because I would turn in those screenplays. They were strong, intelligent women, who were professional, and though the story would evolve around them, they was told that women aren't marketable. Right. Stories about women aren't marketable. So I said, I'm going to take my creativity and put it into books, because I've always wanted to do that. And I took that leap.
Oh, I understand. So you went from screenplay to novels?
Yes,
Yeah.
which I like writing novels better because there's less formatting than a screenplay. But the difference being, of course, that the screenplay, you don't have to write everything because you'll write it down on the screenplay. People will see it on the film. So if you want to know that somebody's a strategic person, most likely on their desk or near them, you will see a chess set or something that shows strategy. If they're a by the gut type of person, they'll show you by the desk is wooden and not metal, or they only have books or something like that. Where in writing a novel, you have to put that out there and you have to talk about it in such a way that it's not, you know, um, dead obvious, but it's there. So I love that.
Yes, I understand. So in the screenplay, you have rather instructions for the people who film the film, so to say. And in the novel, you have to describe for the people because they don't see it with their eyes, but with their imagination, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly. And I
nice.
love people's imaginations because you don't know. You write it, you're imagining it, but what is your readers doing when they're reading it? So that's very important.
Yes, it is, especially for children as well. Nowadays, let's say, and I have another question for you. What key advice would you give aspiring writers looking to create stories with captivating twists?
Well, I've got plenty of those on my website because I do love to share for free writing tips. But I will tell you the first thing is to write. That seems to be the hardest thing for people to sit down and write, right? So make a little area for yourself. I went out and bought a desk. I got a nice little plant. I look out a window. I feel very comfortable there. And you start with 15 to 20 minutes a day. Just pick a time of day that works for you where you can get some, ability to write. And that'll get longer and longer over time as you're writing. But if you don't start writing in the first place, the book will never happen because I've heard people always tell me, I'd love to write this book. Well, start. The second you start writing, you're a writer. People go, well, when do I call myself that? When you're writing. So make sure, because, don't say, well, I'm kind of writing, right? No, you are a writer when you start writing. You're a published writer when the book comes out. There's a difference, right? So then the other thing is some tips that I give people that I think people always tell me, I've never thought of that. If you're afraid of writer's block or something like that, then never finish at the end of a chapter and say, okay, I'm done for today. I'll come back tomorrow. Never finish at the end of a chapter. And even sometimes don't finish your sentence when you stop, because you'll get back, you pick it up, you read it, your train of thought at that time, right? And you continue writing. And it helps prevent writer's block.
Oh, I think it helps tremendously. I never heard of this one. And I started to be a writer, according to your definition, when I started to learn writing in school. I was 6 years old and I could not stop. So I was writing all the time. And for my 11th birthday, my biggest wish was to get a typewriter. And I did. And so thank you for encouraging me and the listeners that we are writers when we start writing, the writing process. And also it is the start that stops most people. You pointed out this is so true. So we have to make this a habit. And you said start writing 15 minutes a day and create a special place where you feel comfortable, or let's say at ease, with a nice view and a plant. You said something inspiring, right?
Correct. Absolutely. And don't worry about what you're writing. So no, every writer that a book is not a great novel until that's done in the editing stages. So I am one of those people who like to be perfectionists. I had to learn to just keep writing. Just write. Write, write, write. You go back and edit later and don't worry about it, because no books are written polished in the first draft, and don't try to polish it in the first draft. because then you start losing your train of thought and your storyline. All great novels are made in the edit stage, not when you first write it.
Yeah, that's so true, but we overlook this as well. There's always an editor going through and and revising it, so to say, and making suggestions about changes that we can accept or reject, right?
Right. Absolutely. So just continue putting that writing time in and getting it done, and then you can go back and fix whatever. But don't be a perfectionist at the beginning.
Thank you so much for giving us advice here. Thank you. It's so valuable. And my next question is, can you share a pivotal moment in your career that led to your success as both an author and industry expert?
Like you said, in sixth grade, I entered a speech contest, wrote my speech, and won. The funny thing about that was, at the time, the teacher said, "Well, we think your parents wrote this." And I thought, if you knew my parents, you'd know they didn't write it. So I knew that I enjoyed writing like you. I enjoyed writing, and I've written one way or another my entire life. And then when I was in junior high, I became a speech writer and would perform speeches and go to contests and keep going. So one day I was sitting on the couch when it was, you're getting close to that time where you go, what am I going to do for my career? And I was watching something and I thought, wow, I could do better than that. I could make that movie better than that. So I decided to go into, radio, TV, film was my degree. And opportunity came knocking at my door. One of my friends said, hey, I have an opportunity to work at this TV station. And I said, oh, I want it. It was a 2-hour drive every time I went out there, because I lived down in the deep Orange County, and then would drive to LA. And I did that. And that's how I started. And I did a lot of networking, and I got in the door at Universal Studios, back when Lou Wasserman, who used to be Ronald Reagan's agent and Jimmy Stewart's agent, ran the studios, and just loved it, and have, started in editing. I love editing. I love post-production, because that's where you put all the pieces together. You take all the story's really made in post, in my opinion. And, then the music's added in post, which, tells you if the bad guy's in the room, because the music's dramatic, So yeah, I absolutely just loved it. And then I had breast cancer at one point. I got laid off. So I had no money, because I'm single. I had no money and no income. And I survived that. Obviously, here I am. But what it told me, that was unplanned, and I survived it. What if I had a plan? What if I had a plan to write my books? Could I survive that? Of course I could, because I survived it when I didn't plan it. So that was when I heard one too many times that women are not marketable in the movies, which is slightly changing because of, equality in pay, meaning that when women get paid what men get paid, they can start their own production companies and make their own movies. But I decided to take the leap, and that's what inspired me. Because when I sat back and thought about what I went through with the breast cancer, with no funds for a year and a half to 2 years, I survived. So I'm going to do it again, and I have. So that was my inspiration.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. I'm so happy that you survived and you can share your story now with me, with the listeners. And it is so important what you said in the beginning about there was the opportunity to work at the studio as an editor, and you said yes immediately. You made a decision and you started. Right? This is so important. And then you talked about equality. I think this is the word, about the payment, right? Between, men and women.
Yes. Yes, I was working next to somebody who had less degrees than me and less rounded experience, and didn't have a degree in the industry, who was getting, probably 30% more pay than I was. doing the same job.
I understand. I did not think about that. You take it for granted or whatever, or I don't think about it in the first place. And then there are so many things. It was not popular. Now, I think now it is when people talk about it, and where especially for women, you pointed
Yes.
out that you encourage and you help women as well with your coaching, or can I call it coaching when you help people how
Yes.
to write? Mhm.
Yeah, we
Can
call it
you?
life coaching. Yes, absolutely. I have been an advocate for women's rights. I did file against that guy, or not that guy, but for the company for doing that. And, you have to pick your battles, of course, as you know, as women, we have to pick our battles. What is important? There's certain things that go on that you just have to overlook, because you can't be complaining all the time. That's how they'll see it. And as a woman, I had a great boss who helped mentor me in how to present things in the fashion and the way that men present things. It's slightly different. And I had gone to, human resources and said, hey, this guy's getting paid X, I'm getting paid this, and I would present it. And you still, as a woman, are kind of seen as a problem child. Oh, she wants equal pay. What's with that? Right? But, I would go ahead and take that stance. Or I've been in situations where, I've had to say to HR, this man is, attacking me verbally within a meeting or something like that. And I always would take 24 hours. Let's think about it. Let's not react, and then go, okay, nope, I need to say something about that because that is unprofessional. And I'd always code from that angle. But absolutely. So I hope, that other women are doing that, and the ones that follow after us will have an easier time of it.
Oh, yes, this is so important. And I thank you at my place now, I thank you for doing the work for the future generations. Of course, it is so important. And as I said, we take it for granted, but it was not always the case, and still it is about fighting for our rights as a woman, of course. And then you mentioned life coaching as well. You help people. And do you have coaches and mentors for yourself? And who was the best coach you ever had?
Ooh, I've had a few of them. I guess it would have been my former boss at Universal, because he really taught me a lot. Because I asked him, directly asked him to do that. And I've met with some top people at other studios. One of my friends used to help run Paramount Studios, and he, gave me some coaching because I wasn't sure at one point. I wasn't sure, and for all the ladies out there, I have a lot of great background on my resume. I have a lot of things I've done. I've jumped in to do a lot of things. I like to learn, and I was afraid I wasn't getting interviews because I had too much on my resume. So I had gone to lunch with him, and I asked him about it. I said, what do I do? Should I, calm down my resume? Should I take some stuff out? And he said, no. If you have all this stuff done, and an employer doesn't want to hire you, then that's not the right employer for you. So that was like, okay, all right, So, that has always stuck with me. Don't water down your resume to try to get in the door. Be who you are. And if you've done things and you've accomplished things, then put those in your resume. So that was something I've never forgotten.
Oh, I love that. So always stay true to yourself, be authentic, and don't shorten your resume. So to say, don't delete or remove things because you did all these amazing things. And I think about us women or women as well, it is the case that we think we have to fit in somehow. We have to how do you call it, adapt ourselves, or yeah, fit
Right.
in, and make us fit, so to say. But we are good as we are, and yeah, and there's one word I want to bring up. It's the word bragging or something, that people, but it's not about bragging when you talk about the degrees you have, or the positions, or the book, even the books you published, right? It's not
Correct.
bragging,
Correct.
it's the truth. It's
Yeah. No, you did it. You did it. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it's the reality. And when people have a problem with that because they have not accomplished what you have, so you always have the choice. This podcast is also named Inspired Choice. You always have the choice whether you come from a place of lack and envy. For example, you think, oh, person did this and I can never catch up or something, but I would love to. And then on the other hand, it can fuel you, or it can inspire you to do the same, or to go for yourself, for your dreams. Of course, everyone has different dreams, right?
Right. Absolutely. Make those dreams come true. Start doing something for your dreams, no matter what they are. If you want to be a downhill skier or an author, start. Right. Find that bunny slope. Start on the bunny slope. We all start at the beginning. You don't climb a hill and end up on the top of a mountain by magic. You have to walk up that mountain. So, 15 minutes a day in writing, 15 minutes a day in whatever your dream is, it really applies to your dreams. And surround yourself with supportive people, because there's always going to be someone in your life probably that says, I don't think you should do that. Or you're not going to finish that book. Don't listen. Another thing you learn in Hollywood is you're never as bad as they tell you are, and you're never as great as they tell you are, right? In the sense of mini god celebrities. You're always in the middle like everybody else, you know? So there is nobody has accomplished anything magically unless you got an inheritance. But you put in the time, and if it's a passion and it's something you love, then um, then you're going to do it. You're going to succeed because it's a passion. It's of your body telling you to do this now. I can write 3 or 4 chapters in a day when I'm not paying attention to typos and things like that, right? And get that down and onto the paper, because that is what I love. So whatever it is that you love, you should do it, and find time for you. Life can be very busy, and you can come home and you can be very exhausted. And I tell people who want to get into Hollywood or anywhere, network, join those organizations that are associated with your passion. And then those nights that you go, I just want to stay home, but that there's this webinar or there's this, meeting, you go anyway, right? So when I was in college, and I would go to seminars and I'd go to events and I would network with people and meet people. It would have been easier to stay home. Absolutely. I could have put my feet up, but I would never would have met the people that I met, and they had the opportunities that I have. So, you have to make a choice and get inspired.
Absolutely, you have to make the choice because you have one. So choose wisely, I would say. And before I asked you about your goals and next projects, I want to show you something, because you know you see this.
Hollywood.
I bought it in La La Land, this biggest shop on, it is a Walk of Fame, Hollywood Boulevard, when I was there
Right.
last year. And I enjoyed, I will come back, and then maybe I meet you in person. Maybe I get the opportunity. And now I asked you about your goals. Do you set goals for yourself or intentions? And what is one of your next projects?
Well, yes, I do have goals. I've always had goals. My to-do list. I always have a to-do list, and generally in the morning I lay in bed and listen to the birds and take in the day, and then go, okay, what is on my agenda to get things done? I just finished another book, and it'll go to the editor next Monday. So I have a book series called the Shaw Straw Investigations started off with Sisters in Cold Blood. I published this one earlier this year in February, and book 3 will be coming out in January of this series. So that's the one that I just finished. I would love to tie my Hollywood experience with my books and make one of my books into a movie. That would be great. Then I'd just get right back into it. And then Road to Elysium has won 10 awards all on its own. And I just made Fiction Writer of the Year for the International Association of Top Professionals. So that was another honor I just got a few weeks ago. So it's hot off the presses.
I love your projects. So we will hear from you very much soon, because you also said that you hesitated being on podcasts. I don't know how it is now. I'm so honored that you are on my podcast today. Thank you so much. And now it's time for your last thoughts to the audience, please.
My last thought for the audience is, I have a couple of sayings I love to say. First one is, do everything that you do in life, no matter what it is, including breathing, with the intent of love. You can't go wrong. So everything you do it with the intent of love. And a smile is a crooked line that sets everything straight. So those are my 2 sayings. So I like to put that love and passion in my books between my characters. You'll find that there as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm inspired now, and please reach out to K.A. Oliver or check out her books and what she does. I put it on my list. I created an Amazon list for all the books of my guests of the Inspired podcast. Thank you for our interview.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Inspired Choice today. I'm thrilled to have you on this journey of growth and transformation. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe to stay connected and never miss an episode. And here's something special. Grab your free 20-minute breakthrough session with me. It's designed to help you kickstart or level up your business. Just check out the show notes for more. Until next time, keep making those inspired choices. See you in the next episode.